We Muslims today, we can adjust the system and carry and travel with cars and aeroplanes. We don't have to use donkeys. We don't have to use camels. Bob does not know that. Okay, it says here in Sahih Bukhari, I'll say it again, 3560. The Prophet Muhammad said, what? You read it. Because you're louder than me.
Yeah.
Whenever Allah's messenger was given the choice of one or two matters, he would choose the easier of the two, as long as it was not sinful to do so. But if it was sinful to do so, he would not approach it. Allah's messenger never took revenge for his own sake, but he did only what Allah's legal bindings were outraged, in which case he would take revenge for Allah's sake.
Thank you. As you can hear, the Prophet said, we can make things easy for society as long as it is not sinful, as long as it doesn't go against Islamic teachings. Now, I challenge Bob, show me in the Islamic teachings where it says to marry 9-year-old girls. Show it to me where it says it's compulsory to marry 9-year-old girls, please. I dare him. He will not find it. In today's day and age, yeah, we can adjust the age of consent to 16 or 18. However, I believe 18 is the right age. I don't even believe the UK age of consent 16 is correct. I think it's wrong. For me personally, 18 is the right one. So Muslims today can adjust to society as long as it is not a sin. It is not a sin to marry 18-year-old girls.
Nice.
It's not. I want to end it here. Thank you, God.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Blessings. Like
Baba gave me two challenges. One about the Holy Spirit guiding the church, and the other one which is saying, where in Islamic law does it say you can marry prepubescent children? I will show you that second part in my next 3 minutes.
All right.
But I want to correct Baba. I am not saying that Islamic law teaches that it is obligatory to marry prepubescent children. I did not say that, and at no point in this debate will I make that argument. So he mischaracterized my position. What I actually said was that under the fiqh, usul al-fiqh of the Sunnah, when you create Sharia law, it is not permissible to make forbidden that which Muhammad made permissible. By Muhammad marrying a 6-year-old child who had no power of consent and having sex with a 9-year-old child, he made it permissible to do the same. And under the concepts of Sharia law, that means it is impossible to do what Baba is trying to do. And I'm going to show you in black and white exactly what I mean in my next 3 minutes. Because this is a book of Usul al-Fiqh from the madhab of the Shafi.
Okay.
Now, to the second point about the Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
We Christians fully accept that not everything was given to us in the teachings of Jesus, because Jesus himself said, there are many things you are yet to learn, but you cannot bear them now. Which means that within the Christian concept of statecraft and lawmaking, there is space for us to learn and to take new information and to apply it to values and doctrines of the Christian faith. Our Lord said that it is better to have a millstone tied around your neck and you be chucked into the sea than that you cause one of these little ones to stumble. But because our faith teaches us that we can learn new things, when we started to study childhood development, the Holy Spirit took that information and applied it to the words of Jesus in a new way. And that is why the church around the world is an advocate for raising the age of consent but the schools of Sharia law are advocates for lowering the age of consent. Make your choice, Western man.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bob. I think Bob is a bit shouter than me, despite I'm a lot younger than him. Right. I want to say, he said here, under the fiqh law, Muslims cannot change what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did. That is not true. However, if you have in the fiqh law that goes against, for instance, things that are not necessary to do, like marrying 9-year-old girls, I'm against that, because the hadith clearly shows, as Bob read out, we can adjust to society as long as it is not sinful. We can do that. We can raise the age of consent. Now the fiqh, if he goes against that, I reject it, because the hadith and the Quran is superior to the fiqh. Okay? He also said the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he married a child. As I said before, back in the day, 9 years old is an adult. This was all over the world. Bob knows this. In Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in South America. Guess what was the age of consent in America 150 years ago? Anyone knows? 7 years old in America. In the heartland of Christianity. Bob, for some reason, says Christians can raise the age of consent. I don't have a problem with that. You can raise it, yes, because society has changed. Muslims can also raise the age of consent. You said that the Holy Spirit knows everything you did is correct, because over time you're gonna get new teachings and new helping. Okay, it's the same with Islam. We can adjust to society and change things as long as it is not a sin. We can marry 18-year-old girls. It is not forbidden. We can do that. But I want to also make it very clear. He said in the Islamic teachings, it allows to marry prepubescent girls. That is false, because if you read Surah 4, verse 6, it says, marry girls at a marriageable age, which means, in any language, a marriageable age means anyone that has reached the age of consent. That's what it means. If you show it to me in there, and I can show it to you in the Quran, that to marry a girl above the age, above puberty, are you going to accept it, Bob? Because the Quran says we can marry girls who have reached puberty. The Quran says that. So whatever you show me outside the Quran, I'm not going to accept that. Also, I want to make it very clear here. I'm debating, there's a lot of Christians here. I don't hate Christians, right? This is why me and Bob, we get along. But I want to make it very clear. If you're going to attack my religion and say, we marry young girls like Iraq and other places, well, go to Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa. They are doing it. However, the age of consent in almost all Muslim countries is 16 years old above. So anyone that breaks the law, I'm against them, I condemn them, and I hope they're not in prison.
Right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Baba is a better man than his religion. And so I want to take this moment to invite Baba to accept Christ and become a Christian. The reason why Baba and all the Muslims who are embarrassed by their religion should become Christians is because then they don't have to be bedfellows with the people that wrote this book. I'm going to read from the introduction as given by the highest authority in Egypt. I forget the name of the university. It'll come to me later, but it says this. The present volume of the Reliance of the Traveller represents one of the finest and most reliable short works in Shafi jurisprudence, a school with perhaps fewer scholarly differences on rulings than other, because its main resource is the recension of Imam Nawawi, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm reading from the Shafi Madhab. And this is what it says.
Read it.
Listen. A guardian may not marry He's prepubescent.
A prepubescent.
Everybody say prepubescent.
Prepubescent.
Louder. Trolls. A guardian may not marry. He's prepubescent.
Prepubescent.
Daughter to someone for less than the amount typically received for a marriage. Sharia law justifies the marrying of children. Now, Bubba, I want to ask you this question.
Ask it.
Because we know you are a good man.
It is.
Are you a scholar of Islam? Are you the founder of a major school of Sharia law? Are you a respected scholar of your religion? Like the person that wrote this book and the university that published it? Because if you are chucking these people under the bus, you are chucking the best of your religion under the bus. And I applaud you for it. And I want to invite you to join the Christian church that is guided by the Holy Spirit, that led us into all truth, that knows that children who are prepubescent should not be married.
No way. Pentecost Sunday. Yes, Pentecost Sunday to the family. Make sure you like and share. Don't be lazy.
Over to you, Baba.
Come on, Baba. You can do it.
3, 2, 1.
Right, as Bob said, I should accept Christ. I already accept Christ. He's a Muslim. He is my brother. Here we go. You can't handle it now. One Muslim here. I'll let you know of you. Jesus Christ is a Muslim and his religion is Islam. I suggest you come to the religion of Jesus, which is Islam, Bob. He's always a Muslim, always, never a Christian. And he's not a Jewish either. Now, it says here, Bob, you said that, are you a scholar in Islam? I'm not a scholar in Islam. However, the Quran and the Hadith is superior to the scholars. If the scholars go against the Quran, they are wrong. Now, I'm going to read it out here in the Quran. In Surah 4, verse 6,
Read it.
It says, test the orphans until they reach the marriageable age. Remember that, the marriageable age. Then if you feel they are capable of sound judgment, return their wealth to them. It says test until they reach a marriageable age, which means the age when they reach puberty. He goes with this scholars' statements, which sometimes the scholars, they get things wrong.
No.
The Quran is superior to the scholars. So Bob has to prove it to me. In the Quran and in Hadith, it's okay to marry prepubescent girls. I dare him. Show it to me. He will not find it. I want to also respond. Go ahead and show it to me. Okay? You also said that I'm chucking the scholars away. Yes, I can chuck them if they go against the Quran. If they go, the Quran is superior to them. I can't reject them if they go against the Quran. You know that, Bob. If a scholar comes and says something about Christianity that goes against the Bible, you're going to reject it. Why can't I do the same? Thank you. You also say that Christianity knows not to marry prepubescent girls. Since when? Since 100 years ago. 100 years ago. They've been marrying 7, 8, 9, 10. Christians marrying 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old girls. 150 years ago in the UK, the age of consent was 12. In America, 7 in Delaware State. In Africa, even today, in Zimbabwe, in Nigeria, they marry young girls. So, is Bob going to tell me that's a Christian teaching? Of course not. You know why? Because he's embarrassed about Christianity. That's why he became a liberal today. He wants to go along with liberalism. I do agree with you. Marrying 9-year-old girls in today's age is wrong. I agree with you, okay? It's wrong. I don't agree with it, okay? But in the ancient times, it was perfectly normal, and he knows that, and I know that. So, Bob, show me in the Quran, the Hadith, where it says to marry prepubescent girls, please.
So he said to show me in the Quran where it justifies marrying prepubescent children.
Indeed.
Challenge given, challenge answered. In Surah 65, Ayah 4, it says this,
Read it.
talking about the waiting period between marriages. Everybody shout, between marriages.
Between marriages.
This is talking about the waiting period.
Read it.
Such of your women as have passed the age of puberty, monthly courses, for them the prescribed period, if you have any doubts, is 3 months.
Okay.
And for those who have no courses, for those who have no courses, it is the same. And this is what it says in the tafsir of the Quran.
Okay.
It says, for normal women, the waiting period is 3 months after separation. If they are of no courses, or if the courses are in doubt, it is 3 calendar months. By that time, it will become clear whether there is a pregnancy. If there is, the waiting period is after they deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we say women have when they stop having monthly courses? We say they've gone into menopause. What do we call girls who have not yet started monthly courses?
Children.
Prepubescent. What did the book of Sharia law that I read to you say in black and white?
So you can marry
It said you can marry prepubescent. I've shown it in the Quran. I've shown it in the Hadith. I've shown it in the manuals of Sharia law.
Okay.
Islam justifies the marrying of children. That is why it is a backward, barbaric, savage, ignorant, vile, immoral religion that must be pushed back, that must be reversed. And why? Because we hate Muslims? No, but because we want to save Muslim children from being married before they are ready. Because as Christians, we love the children of Islam more than their muftis, sheikhs and qadis do.
Right, okay. As you can see here, Bob said, Surah 65, verse 4 is talking about marrying, which means prepubescent girls. What Bob does not understand here, and many of you Christians, there's something called medical condition. There's some women who have reached maturity, they have reached puberty, they do not menstruate. It's called primary amenorrhea, if Bob is aware of that. If some people who are medically aware will know there's some women who have reached maturity, or girls, but they do not menstruate. It's a medical condition. This is what the Quran is talking about. It says, as Surah 65 verse 4, as for your women past the age of menstruation, in case you do not know, their waiting period is 3 months, and those who have not menstruated as well, which means that women and the girls who have reached puberty but they do not bleed. Some people should know this. If Bob has been debating here for so long, he should know. Some women have medical condition. They do not bleed. That is a fact. It's on the NHS website. Science has confirmed it. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. Okay? You also said that in the tafsir it says to marry prepubescent girls. Now, if you look at the tafsir here in Surah 4 verse 6, Surah 4 verse 6, the tafsir says you have to marry them when they reach puberty. It says that here, right here. The tafsir says in Surah 4 verse 6, girls and women, you only have to marry them when they reach puberty. So Bob has got it wrong. Why didn't he got this out in Surah 4 verse 6? Because he's going for the easy ones he can target, and he knows that. I want to say as well, Bob said in the Christian religion, they have adjusted and changed. Can you answer my question, Bob? Why is it throughout your history you've been marrying 7, 8, 9-year-old girls? Tell me the reason. Why didn't God, your perfect God, told you to marry 18-year-old girls 2,000 years ago? Please answer that question. Any Christian can't answer, help him. I don't think you can. Honestly, you won't be able to help him. Christians, even today, marry 9-year-old girls. I condemn them. Any Muslim marries 9-year-old girls, I condemn them. When it's in Afghanistan, in the UK, in Iraq, I'm against them. And Islam, we don't have to marry 9-year-old girls. He knows that, I know that. I don't have to travel with camels. The Prophet Muhammad, he used to travel with camels. I don't have to travel with camels. In fact, today, I travel with a car. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Bubba has resorted to mischaracterizing my position. I never said that a Muslim is obliged to marry a child. I know, I agree, and I've never said anything different, Bubba, so I don't know why you're clapping. You should have just listened earlier. I said that it is possible for a Muslim to marry a child, and I've proven it. But, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what Bubba said? He said that when a child hits puberty, you can marry them. Did you all hear him say that? Yes. The problem with that logic is that it is the ignorant caveman logic that says if they bleed, they can breed. That's caveman logic, ladies and gentlemen. And why is it caveman logic? Because of the condition called precocious puberty. Precocious puberty is when someone starts having monthly periods before the normal age. It has been recorded medically that 3-year-old children have had their monthly courses because of precocious puberty. 6-year-old children have gone into puberty. 7-year-old children have gone into puberty, ladies and gentlemen. According to Sharia logic by Bubba, that means that they're ready for marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to the point about why did Christians marry children in the past? Well, the answer to that is simple. They were just as ignorant as Muhammad. They were just as stupid as Muhammad. And they weren't guided by God on that choice, just like Muhammad wasn't guided by God. But thank God for Christ's teachings, because Christ said, you still have things to learn, which means that within the Christian faith, we have always been open to learning new things and then applying those new things to our doctrines and our values. And that is why we Christians have raised the age of consent. Bubba is more like a Christian. He wants to be more like us than he does want to be like his prophet. In other words, he's saying, and he has recognized, that we are better guided than his prophet, and I want to thank him for it.
Okay.
One more round?
Very heated, yeah.
One more round.
3, 2, 1.
Right, guys, as you hear, Bob said there's something called precocious puberty. I do agree with it, there's something called precocious puberty. However, if you go to the NHS website, the girl's age for puberty is 8 years and 13. It's in the NHS website. Go there today, and check it. Girls' age of puberty for NHS website is between the age of 8 and 13. So no, if you are 8 years old, you can reach puberty properly, not precocious. I didn't say that. The UK NHS website said that, not me. I don't want people to say I said that. NHS website said that, okay? Now, Bob, to continue, you said as well here, you said as well, the Christians marrying 9-year-old girls in the past, they were ignorant. Fine, they were ignorant. That means Christianity was false then. How can you be ignorant about your religion? How can you be? How did you not know marrying 9-year-old girls is wrong? Because you don't have the teachings, you don't have the explanation. That's why in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, we can do and change things in society as long as it is not against Islamic teachings. We can raise the age of consent to 18. It is not a sin. He said Christians have raised the age of consent. Yes, Muslim countries have raised the age of consent as well. In Saudi Arabia, the heartland of Islam, the age of consent is 18 years old. Even higher than England, higher than the UK. Does that mean the Saudis are better than the British people? No, it just means they've raised the age of consent, okay? If you go to places like Nigeria, the age of the age of consent, I believe, is 18 years old. In many other Muslim countries, the age of consent is 16 years old above. So yes, we can also raise the age of consent. We don't have to marry 9-year-old girls. He knows that, I know that. The Prophet said we can make changes in society as long as it is not a sin. So I am not going against the teachings of the Prophet. In fact, I am following it, which is today's society. We can marry girls and boys age 18 years old and above, and he knows that. Bob, this is humiliating for you, it's embarrassing for you. But I want to say thank you very much. It's been a wonderful debate. Everybody watching this, are we have one more? Or?
No, you no, you just had that.
So, one more each, please.
You started first.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I want to say, guys, thank you very much. I have no issues against Christians or anybody. It's a debate. It's a wonderful debate. Bob, I don't have issues with you, but you are wrong and Christians are wrong. Leave Christianity and come to Islam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See, this is how debate should be in the corner, and Bobber is an example of a good Muslim in
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We're just grateful that Bobber chucked Islam under the bus. Made him down there. Jesus is Lord!
Jesus is Lord!
Jesus is Lord!
Jesus is Lord!
You gotta be louder, guys. Christ is King!
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 Das Boot! Das Boot! Das Boot! Right, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I have the mic there, Bob? Can I have the mic?
Yeah.
The yellow one.
Want to grab your microphones? Feel free to grab your microphones.
Be a Christmas tree.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go and see if I can get into debate with someone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions before I go, ladies and gentlemen?
That guy was shouting his head off on the left.
What, sorry?
That guy there.
Yeah, I live in his head rent-free.
So,
I've got hecklers, I live inside the corner.
yeah, I was just going to ask, well, I wanted to ask one as well. Following on from your discussion with him about the grooming gang scandal in the UK.
Yeah.
The fact that literally up to 1 million girls, white, Sikh, were targeted deliberately by mainly Muslim Pakistani Bangladeshi men.
Yeah.
And raped systematically, some killed even, tortured, whatever, over a long period of time, because they are, they are easy meat. They've explained that.
Well, I mean, I actually don't think that the grooming gangs are a true representation of Islamic practice, but rather a distortion of it. And it comes from, I would say, the triangulation of three things. One, that Muslims feel themselves superior to the rest of us and think that we're all trash. Two, and that's not all Muslims, obviously, but the ones that take their teaching seriously. Two, the Islam permits the taking of sexual slaves. And three, the fact that Islam permits, as we've seen, the marrying and sexual practice with children. And when those three things combine in a very distorted way, you can see how that creates the milieu in which grooming gangs can think that they are justified in their activity. The fact of the matter is, Bubba is a good man. He's just a bad Muslim. You know,
Yeah, he's all right.
he's a good man, but he's a bad Muslim. And he's unable to justify Muhammad. And so he had to mischaracterize my position. And he also had to distort Sharia law. Because he said in Sharia law that they could change the age of consent. But the point is, Sharia law is interpreted and defined by the actions of Muhammad and by what Muhammad committed. And so because Muhammad committed and actually married a child, it is not possible under Sharia law to make it illegal to marry a child. And so that's why Bubba couldn't defend his prophet. But maybe this brother can. I've got a question for you. It's not about child marriage or anything like that. It's about the reliability of hadiths. Because I have clear proof that the hadiths are made up and fictional. Okay? So in Sahih al-Bukhari 7, Abi Sufyan gives a report. And in that report, it states clearly in the hadith that they have access to the private correspondence of a Roman emperor. But when you look at the Isnad chain, in the people in the Isnad chain, the stem of the Isnad chain was a child. So the one that told the story was a child. How did anyone in the Isnad chain, it's Sahih al-Bukhari 7 if you want to know which one I'm talking about, how did any of them gain access to the private correspondence of the enemy of Islam, the Roman Emperor, and also gain access to private meetings amongst the Roman elites? Any suggestions on how? That is fine, but I'd ask you to reason with me if I read out the relevant section. Yeah? So if we go to Sahih al-Bukhari 7, do you mind if I come here? Yeah? Yeah. Thank you. So what's your name, bro? Sorry? I would love to. If they want to come in, I'll let them in for sure. But let's come to this. Let's come to this section in the hadith. Do you want to pull it up so you know that I'm not lying? Yes. So it's Sunnah. It's Sahih al-Bukhari 7, number 7, and you can find it on Sunnah.com. Sahih al-Bukhari 7. So we're looking at Sahih al-Bukhari 7.
Sorry family, I'm back. Make sure you like and share.
The bit that I want to read. Oh, okay.
Let me move.
Yep. So it's this bit. So Heraclius remarked that the sovereignty of the Arabs had arrived. Heraclius then wrote a letter to his friend in Rome, who was as good as Heraclius in knowledge. Heraclius then left the Homs, the town in Syria, and stayed there until there was a reply from his friend, who agreed with him in his opinion about the emergence of a prophet and the fact that he was a prophet. On that, Heraclius invited all the heads of the Byzantines to assemble in his palace at Homs. When they assembled, he ordered that all the doors of his palace be closed, and then he came out and said, "O Byzantines, if success is your desire, and if you seek right guidance and want your empire to remain..."
Like and share the link, family. We might end the live stream now, or we might even go to see Jay Smith in a second.
So here's my question. This hadith is claiming to have access to a private correspondence and a private meeting of the Roman elites. Who in the Isnad chain was in that meeting? Who had access to that letter? And I've looked at all the names in the Isnads, right? And when you look at all the names in the Isnads and you look at their biographies, right, none of them could be. None of them. So in other words, what we have is a Sahih Bukhari hadith that is a forgery and a lie. Now, do you understand the implications of using Sahih al-Bukhari to interpret the Quran when Sahih al-Bukhari is full of forgeries and lies?
Because it's that you have to be channel narration that's going back to the Prophet.
Yeah.
That's how much I can take it forward from that.
Right.
But I'm not very ilm in hadith to that.
Yeah. Well, as someone who has studied it, but you can think logically, can't you? Yeah. Right. So, for someone to have had access to a private correspondence of a Roman Empire,
Camille here, okay, bear with me. Let me connect the mic.
had some kind of access to the internal
complaining.
of Rome. But when you can do this yourself, bro, go and look up the Isnad of Sahih al-Bukhari. Go and look up the biographies of all of those people. I've already done this exercise. None of them would have had access to the internal workings of the Roman Empire. Right, so you've got a lie in the hadiths. Now, just think hypothetically with me. If my thesis is correct, and this is a lie in Sahih al-Bukhari, what are the implications for the reliability of Sahih al-Bukhari? All right.
Probably. Hey, bro. Nice with you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's it going here?
Yeah, well, thank you.
Good. Well, how's it going?
It's going well.
It's going well.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Peace be with you, Bob.
Peace with you,
Good to
brother.
see you again.
How are you?
Not too bad.
Been trying to get you for months and months. I've got you and Chris. Thank you very much. Karen, good work.
Yeah.
The sound was gone. Man. Right, bear with me.
Can I ask you a question about hadith? A simple question.
Bear with me, family.
Sahih al-Bukhari. It's a simple question. So, in Sahih al-Bukhari, number 7, we read this, right? Miraculous remark that the sovereignty of the Arabs had appeared, and Heraclius then wrote a letter to his friend in Rome who was as good as Heraclius in knowledge. Heraclius then left for Homs, the town in Syria, and stayed there till he received a reply of his letter from his friend who agreed with him in his opinion about the emergence of the Prophet and the fact that he was a prophet. So here's my question. How could anyone connected to the hadith have gained access to this private letter? Is it likely that someone could have gained access to the private correspondence of the leader of their enemies?
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on it.
Use your reasoning. Use your logic.
This is a private letter between the Roman emperor and his friend back in Rome. They're writing to one another at a time when the Romans were in control of their territory. So before the Battle of Yarmouk, right? And yet the hadith is saying that they have access to this private correspondence between Heraclius and his friend.
Who has the access to it?
Yeah, exactly. Who has the access to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying to you, no one could have had the access to it. Because when you look at the Isnad chain, and when you do look into their biographies, the first one of the chain was a child. The others, they weren't involved in the Roman court. And so the story is fictitious. It's a lie, in other words, it's a forgery.
It might be so.
Right. Now, what's the implications of having a forgery in Sahih al-Bukhari? What are the implications of that?
Something went wrong.
But it does have bigger implications, doesn't it? Because you use Sahih al-Bukhari and you use the hadiths to interpret the Quran.
I cannot respond to you because I'm not an expert on it. So
I mean, everyone's going to say that. But
yeah, but I have to read it. I have to read more so I can respond to you.
Right, so hypothetically, I know you can't respond,
Okay.
but you can do a hypothetical experiment. That you can do.
Okay.
So let's imagine you go away and do the research,
Yeah.
and you find out that I'm right. But actually, this hadith is a forgery.
Okay.
Considering the science of hadith and the fact that this has been declared by Muslim scholars for 1400 years to be reliable, trustworthy hadith, what is that saying about the failure of the science of hadith?
If there's like one failure, it doesn't mean that everything he fails on. All the hadith he wrote.
The science.
There's one thing failure. It's not mean that everything is false.
Right, but what it does mean, I agree. It doesn't mean that because one thing failed, that therefore everything failed. But if one thing failed, it means that anyone in that isnad chain connected to that failed hadith can no longer be trusted with certainty for any hadith that they are involved in. Yeah. Secondly, it means that the science of hadith has failed, and that you can't be certain where it has failed and where it hasn't failed.
Only on one hadith you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm giving one example. There's other examples. I'm giving one example. My point to you is that if it failed in one place, then you don't know where else it has failed,
Yes, of course.
and so the whole corpus becomes questionable.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the hadith itself, Sahih al-Bukhari itself, can no longer be graded as Sahih.
It's like for my knowledge is that not all of the hadith are like all of them are like 100% correct.
Yeah.
Some of them we have like 100% correct. Some of them might be and might not. So we as a Muslim we do not take all of them.
Yeah.
As an example of correct hadith.
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you call those hadith that you don't trust?
I'm not sure how to say it in English.
Daif.
Daif, yeah.
Yeah, you can speak Arabic.
Yeah, okay,
Right?
daif.
So when you find a hadith that you don't trust, you call it daif, don't you?
Yeah.
What do you call it when you find a hadith that you can trust?
Sahih.
Sahih.
Yeah.
This is from Sahih, this is Sahih Bukhari, not Daif Bukhari. Sahih Bukhari number 7. Thank you.
والله انا ما فهمته بس اي طبعا.
Christian. هذا مال الكتاب.
ايش هو الحديث اللي قال؟
Nasai.
What's the hadith?
What?
What's the hadith?
Hadith number 7.
Yeah, what's
Sahih Bukhari number 7. You can find it on sunnah.com.
He has this.
I've got it on my phone. On sunnah.com. Sunnah.com, hadith number 7, Sahih Bukhari.
Okay.
Yeah? So, my issue is, did you hear the issue? Do you want me to repeat the issue?
Yes,
He hears
Okay.
it.
Yeah, of course. So basically,
Yeah.
bear with us 1 second. Right. So I'm going to read the relevant part, okay?
Okay.
After hearing that, Heraclius remarked that the sovereignty of the Arabs had appeared. Heraclius then wrote a letter to his friend in Rome, who was as good as Heraclius in knowledge. Heraclius then left for Homs, a town in Syria, and stayed there till he received the reply of his letter from his friend, who agreed with him in his opinion about the emergence of the prophet and the fact that he was a prophet. On that, Heraclius invited all the heads of the Byzantines to assemble in his palace at Homs. When they assembled, he ordered that all the doors of his palace be closed, and then he came out and said, "O Byzantines, Abu Sufyan,
Okay.
right? But, O Byzantines, if success is your desire, and if you seek right guidance and want your empire to remain, then give a pledge of allegiance to this prophet." Now, here's my problem. This is in Sahih al-Bukhari.
Okay.
Sahih means trustworthy, it means reliable.
Yeah.
For something to be Sahih, every level in the isnad has to have good memory, good character, precise recollection. Yeah, they have to be on the deen. They have to know the haq. Right? These are some of the criteria for being sahi. Agreed?
Yeah.
Right. This story is clearly fictitious, and we know it's fictitious for two reasons. One, it's claiming to have knowledge of the private correspondence of the Roman Emperor. Two, it's claiming to have knowledge about the private meeting of the elites of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, because Abu Sufyan was there.
No, was Abu Sufyan one of the elites of the Roman Empire?
He was one of the listeners or talkers with Herakles.
No, listen carefully. This is after his meeting with Abu Sufyan. This is after he interviews Abu Sufyan. You know the big lengthy interview he does with Abu Sufyan?
Yeah.
And then the letter from the Prophet arrives and he reads the letter.
Yeah.
This is after that meeting. So that meeting is no longer happening. Abu Sufyan is no longer there.
Okay.
Right, it's just Heraclius.
Okay.
And then the Roman elites. But clearly, this hadith is claiming to have knowledge that Abu Sufyan could not have known.
I'll have to check this.
Yes, you can tell it. Look.
We'd like
Look,
to
it
see
says it after hearing that. Listen, he said, after hearing that, Heraclius remarked, the sovereignty of the Arabs has appeared. Heraclius then wrote a letter to his friend Rome, who was as good as Heraclius in knowledge. Heraclius then left for Homs.
Okay.
So he's now left Abu Sufyan, and he's now in Homs. And then the hadith continues to claim to know the knowledge of a private letter and of a private meeting of the Roman elites.
So Abu Sufyan wasn't with them.
He couldn't have been. Because Abu Sufyan was not one of the Roman elites.
But it says here that
وسار هرقل إلى حمص فلم يرمي
بيتكلم على ابو سفيان
أمس حتى أتاه
بيتكلم عليه بس قولي
حديث
ايوه عن ايش؟ عن ابو سفيان وين؟
لمن وراه صور الأنبياء آدم
مين ورا مين؟ مين ورا؟
هرقل
هرقل وراه أبو سفيان.
ايوه ما درسنا ذا الشيء
إلا
ما اخذنا وراه صورة الانبياء وين كان في كاميرا ايام زمان
لا آدم سأل الله إنه ياخذ صور الأنبياء.
ايوه اول مرة اسمع
عيسى وموسى
ايوه
So that's slightly getting off the topic. We're not talking about that. We're talking about this hadith.
Okay.
Yes.
And in this hadith,
Yeah.
we've got Heraclius.
ايش المشكلة؟
We've got Heraclius. No need to be offensive, Mushrikin.
No.
ايش؟
She's asking what's the problem.
The problem is that the hadith contains a lie.
الحديث كذب يقول حديث في صحيح البخاري اللي
Sahih al-Bukhari contains a forgery, contains a lie.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Is that the first time you talk about this hadith, about this matter with us, or did
Well,
you
it's
talk
the first
about,
time I've talked to you about it.
But the other people, what do they respond about now?
They usually run away.
No, they're not impossible.
That's true. Ali Dawah runs away. Green Lantern runs away. Muhammad Hijab runs away. Shamsi runs away. Mansoor runs away. Hashim runs away. The point is that what I'm trying to get you to see, here's why this is important. If Sahih al-Bukhari contains a forgery and a lie, but yet it wasn't picked up by Bukhari, Imam Bukhari, when he didn't realize that it was a lie, it means that other lies could have got into Bukhari. And you use Bukhari to understand the Quran. So if you're using a book that's full of forgeries and you don't know which are the forgeries and which are the real, it means that you could be disobeying Allah without meaning to.
Abu Sufyan was first a businessman and a man of wealth. So there's many ways that he could get this knowledge. It could be from one of the people on this meeting or any other way.
Right.
It's not impossible.
This is a claim, but it is
I'm
unlikely.
trying to say one of the things that could happen.
This is a claim, but it is unlikely. And the reason why it's unlikely is because what happened. Here's why we know.
Do you believe the first half of the hadith?
I don't believe any part of this hadith.
Any part?
Any part of this. The entire hadith is a forgery and a lie.
Abu Sufyan didn't meet Herakles.
No, Abu Sufyan never met The whole hadith is just propaganda.
Okay.
Because when think about it.
Had really, I think at least once a year he went to the Sham or to the Levant.
Yeah, that's what you believe.
Yeah.
Well, that's
like an okay thing. He's just a businessman doing business.
This hadith is a. Let me explain why this is a lie. I'll show it to you why it's a lie. Firstly, the first reason is access to private knowledge. The second reason is this secret meeting. But what's important about this meeting? Listen carefully, right? On that, Heraclius invited all the heads of the Byzantines to assemble. He ordered that all the doors of his palace be closed. So this is a secret meeting amongst the elite. So Abu Sufyan would not be there. Then it goes on like this. Then he came out and said, "O Byzantines, if success is your desire, and if you seek guidance and you want your empire to remain, then give a pledge of allegiance to this prophet." In other words, this hadith is saying that Heraclius wanted to become Muslim.
Well, it's not the only one. The king of Habasha also became Muslim.
One second. Because I'm not talking about the king of Habasha. I'm talking about the emperor of Rome. Right? On hearing the views of Heraclius, the people ran towards the gates of the palace like onagers who found the doors closed. Heraclius realized their hatred towards Islam. And when he lost the hope of them embracing Islam, he ordered that they should be brought back in audience. Now let me explain something that you don't understand.
Does it sound better?
Right? As a Roman, as a historian.
Bear with us with the sound.
If a Roman emperor had given one of his rivals an excuse to topple him as Roman emperor, they would have killed him and they would have replaced him. By this point, the Roman Empire had just fought a war against the Persians, a crusade.
Is it better now or before?
Bring back the true cross.
Okay.
So they fought against the Zoroastrians as Christians, and Heraclius had led that war. That's like Umar and Abu Bakr, after fighting jihad for Muhammad, suddenly go, I don't feel like being Muslim anymore. I want to be Christian. It doesn't make any sense. These people were committed to their religion. Heraclius was committed to the religion of Christianity. The idea that he wanted to abandon Christianity is a completely false idea. We know the history. We know the biography of Heraclius. We have it.
But also he might be like, he's a human being at the end.
We know the biography. The thing is, what you don't realize is we have our own biographies about Heraclius.
Okay.
We have the story of Heraclius. You can read it. You can read the history of Heraclius. Heraclius was a devoted Christian until his dying day. That is the history of Heraclius. This is a forgery and a lie, because at the time that this was created, Muslims and Romans were at war with one another, and Muslims had just conquered Christian land.
Yeah.
And this was propaganda to try to cause disillusionment amongst the Christians. Yeah. Look, even your emperor wanted to become Christian. It's a way of trying to say to Christians under Sharia, you should become Christian because your emperor wanted to.
Yeah.
In any war, you spread propaganda, don't you?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So this is an example of propaganda. But it's being told as a true story in Sahih al-Bukhari.
If it is a propaganda, did it succeed?
Well, eventually, yes, it did, sadly. Lots of Christians did become Muslim, didn't they?
Thank you.
But that doesn't get Sahih al-Bukhari out of the problem. Because you've got a forgery inside Sahih al-Bukhari. You have a lie inside Sahih al-Bukhari.
That's your claim.
Yes, and I'm giving you my reasons that you can now reply to. So why do you think I'm wrong?
Because I have to make my research before I respond to you. You're talking about a matter you are used to like for 10 years. But it's my first time hearing it, so I have to do my research before I respond to you.
That is fair. I understand that. But for now then, the claim stands unchallenged.
Yes.
You haven't challenged it. You haven't challenged it. When you're ready to challenge it, feel free to come back and we can do that. Go on then, try.
Well, I only can think of one, which is the age of Joseph.
What about it?
The prophet.
Yes.
I think in one page it says one age and the other page has another age.
I can get out my Bible now.
Yeah.
And you can both use Google.
Okay.
And I bet you won't find the age of Joseph in the Bible. So get out your Google.
But do you know the matter I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And it's not in the Bible.
And how do they show it?
So what's happening there is that your Muslim da'i are lying to you about Christianity. Because they're trying to tell you that there's a Bible that gives the age of Joseph. They are lying to you when they say that. The da'i of the Muslims are lying to the Ummah. They are giving you da'if reports. They're giving you da'if reports because they want you to stay Muslim and close your minds to Christianity.
Do you think Bible is 100% correct?
In every single matter, no, we wouldn't make that claim. That's not our belief. That's a Muslim belief about the Quran.
How is that a holy book when there's some mistake?
Right. So wait 1 second. He asked a question. It's fair that I answer the question. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Right. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that it would be unfair of me to challenge you about something you never claimed to be? If I said to you, "You're not the best footballer in the world," what would you say in reply to that?
I never say that.
Exactly. So if the Bible never claimed to be perfect in every regard, do you agree that it would be unfair to say, well, it's got some things wrong, so therefore it's not perfect? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Right. Now, one second. Does the Quran make the claim that it is without error?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I was to find an error in the Quran, would that disprove the Quran?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can look at what your issues are in the Bible, and we can discuss them according to what the Bible says about the Bible, and then we can look at problems that I have with the Quran, and we can judge the Quran according to what the Quran says about the Quran. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is
right.
fair. But
So what's your problem with the Bible?
The thing is, you're claiming to be a correct religion.
Yes.
And to be a correct religion, you should have no mistakes.
No, that's an Islamic belief.
No, because
it's an Islamic belief.
You're getting your religion from God.
Right.
So you can't say that God make mistakes.
Right. So allow me to reply.
Yeah.
In 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse, I think it's 15, it says this: all scripture is God-breathed and profitable for reproof, correction, and training in righteousness, so that the man of God might be equipped for every good work. In other words, the Christian scripture claims that it is sufficient to teach us how to be godly men and women. That is the claim of the Bible. It does not claim to be a scientific textbook. It does not claim to be a book of geology. It does not claim to be a book of biology. Okay? So if you were to find a geological, scientific, or biological problem in the Bible, and I haven't yet seen one, but let's pretend that you do, it would not affect my faith.
That's like making an excuse for yourself.
No, I'm being consistent to my own religion's teaching.
It's like saying, it's like when I write a book and I say, this book may contain mistakes, but it's a religion and do follow it. And when you ever find any mistake, you will say, oh, the book said it may contain a mistake.
Right, what it's saying is, if you want to know how to serve God, read this book. What it's saying is, if you want to learn about biology, go somewhere else.
Okay.
But, 1 second, your Quran claims to be free of any contradiction and error, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But your Quran claims that sperm is made between the backbone and the ribs. Do you believe that sperm is made between the backbone and the ribs?
That's a scientific,
No.
biology thing to respond.
Yes, in the Quran it says that.
I'm a doctor and I am a Quran teacher also.
Great, come in, madam.
Yeah, it's not said that sperm is made. It says that testicles are made. The water which is like, it is done between that, and you know the testicles, they just come down to the scrotal sac. That's why they are here in the back. They just go down during the embryogenesis. That's why we have the kids. We have the kids with the empty scrotal sac. We have to do the surgery. We have to take it down. It goes somewhere else. Here. Maybe somewhere. The Quran, it said that. And you know, the Keith Moore, Dr. Keith Moore, he just did everything, every ayah, and just under the microscope, the shape of the embryo, the mudgha, the
Go on, I'm listening, madam.
the mudgha, the everything, and he said that it's all right. It's all right. He proved it from the Quran. Quran is not the textbook of science. Quran is not the textbook of science, but it's the word of God, which is unchanged. Which is unchanged.
Right, what's your name, madam?
My name is Amara, Dr. Amara.
Amara, Dr. Amara. Yeah. Thank you very much. Let's actually look at what the passage says in Surah, I think it's 86.
It's in 30th. It's in 30th.
Surah 86. Do you know the ayah?
It's in the 30th juz.
It's in the what, sorry?
30th juz.
Let's have a look. Right. Actually, because the thing is, Doctor, your tasfir of the Quran is not accurate to the text. What the text says is this. He, being Allah, created from a drop emitted, proceeding from the backbone and the ribs.
Yeah.
So in other words, what it's talking about is ejaculation. What it is not talking about is the procession of the testes in embryosis. The Quran is not talking about, one second, I'm talking to the doctor here. The Quran is, doctor?
Yeah, this is the
doctor, allow me to finish. I let you speak and I didn't interrupt you. The Quran is not talking about embryosis. The Quran is talking about the conceiving of a child. No. And it said, yes, it is. Let me finish. I did not interrupt you. Let's have a polite conversation. If you interrupt me, I will start interrupting you. This whole conversation breaks down. You're an educated woman. Let's have an educated conversation.
Which ayah are you talking about?
I'm talking to the doctor. Surah 86, ayah 6 and 7. So, it is talking about he is created. That's talking about man. Now let man but think from what he is created.
Yeah.
He is created from a drop emitted, proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. This is talking about conception, not embryosis. Your tasfir is incorrect to the text, and the Quran is wrong because sperm does not ejaculate from the backbone and the ribs, but from the testes. Go on.
Now, you're finished?
Yes.
It says, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Now, the insan, the man, must see from which thing he is made. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانَ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Okay? خُلِقَ مِنْ مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ. خُلِقَ مِنْ مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ. He is created from a water which is just like uchalna. Ma'in dafiq, like
Translation is actually here. The translation is here.
You know, dafiq is
proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs.
Drop. It's
a
not
drop emitted.
Dafiq is, you know, this is the Arabic. That's why Quran is sent in Arabic. Khuliqa min ma'in dafiq. He is created from a water which just splashes. It just splashes. Yeah, gush. It just gushes like this. Like when ejaculation, listen to me. Ejaculation, what happens in the ejaculation? It just gushes, okay? So, yakhruju min bayni sulbi wat tara'ib. Now, it comes from here, the sulbi wat tara'ib, the backbone and the down. So now, how that ejaculate is made, which contains sperm, how that ejaculate is made? It's all the effort, like in your testes, then from the seminal vesicles, then it goes to the penis, then from there it ejaculates. Okay, so the source is here. The testes are here, so they just go down during the embryogenesis. They just go down. In the beginning, they are here in between the baina sulbi wa tara'ib, and then this is the pathway of coming down. That's why, if you Google it, a lot of kids we have seen that we have to find out their testes. We do scans, we do MRI. Sometimes in the passage, it's lost somewhere. And sometimes it's here. We have to pull it down, we have to put it in there because the ejaculate is made up of sperms. Sperms come from the testes. So Quran is not the superficial thing. It just goes to the origin. from where that ejaculate comes.
Are you okay? Are you finished? So allow me to reply, doctor, and thank you for engaging in a decent conversation. The point is, as you already admitted, we're talking about ejaculation. That is what's being discussed here. Man is created from a drop emitted. It's talking about if we're talking about emitted, we're not talking about transition. We're talking about ejaculation. And so when we're talking about ejaculation in the Quran, what we're talking about, the ayah 7 has to be read in the light of ayah 6. And so the Quran is saying that the ejaculation is having its source proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. What you're trying to do is separate verse 6 from verse 7. You're trying to say verse 6 is talking about ejaculation, but verse 7 is talking about embryosis. But no, doctor, I did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you. The source of the ejaculation, as a doctor should know, comes from the testes. That is what happens in copulation. Everybody knows this. I don't even know why you're trying to dispute it. You're muddying the water with your tasfir, and your tasfir is not being fair to the text. You're trying to get the Quran out of the problem because you don't want to accept that there's a problem in the text.
You just don't want to listen.
One second. Where this is talking about, this is not talking about embryology. There are other verses.
This is talking about embryology.
Doctor, I did not interrupt you. I let you, doctor, I did not interrupt you. Calm down. I know the Quran has problems right now, but getting irate is not going to defend the Quran.
Don't say this. I don't
The Quran, you are defending the Quran.
Allah defends the Quran.
You are trying to defend the Quran right now. The Quran is saying it's talking about what man is created from, and it's talking about emission. Literally says emission. This is ejaculation. What you're doing is you're trying to confuse that with the process of embryosis. The process of embryosis is discussed elsewhere in the Quran, and the Quran gets that wrong as well. We're talking about ejaculation. We're talking about ejaculation. So my question to you, doctor, is when it says emission, what is being emitted and where? That's my question to you.
Totality. It's not separate. It's not one separate ayah.
I know it isn't. You're separating it, not me.
I'm not separating it. You are separating it.
The proceeding, the emission. Where is the emission coming from?
You are separating it from here.
Where is the emission coming from?
Emission is coming from, first it is made in the testes, then it is just transferred to the penis, then it is
Thank you. So we are talking about ejaculation then. Thank you. So where is the emission proceeding from?
The testis is formed here.
Where is the emission proceeding from?
Even if the testes are not descending down, the ejaculate will come from that place. The source of ejaculation is here, between the backbone and the ribs.
So you're literally saying the source of a man's ejaculation is not his testes, but between the backbone and the ribs.
Testis is formed here.
But you've just admitted that emission is talking about. What are we talking about when we say emitted?
You don't want to listen. You don't want to listen.
Right, shall we do a conversation there where you don't interrupt me and I don't interrupt you?
Yeah.
Right, well, don't interrupt me then and I won't interrupt you. So now I'm going to hand the floor to you. I'm not going to interrupt you, but if you interrupt me again, I will interrupt you as I have done. So, over to you. What do you want to say?
I just want to say that the testes are formed in between the backbone and the ribs during our development. Okay? Like many things which are formed somewhere else, like we have this nipple line, the whole line, the nipple line, okay, the whole line is nipple line starting from here to here, and if this all line is not gone, in some kids we have multiple breasts, like spleen, so in some kids we have multiple spleens. Similarly, the exact location of the testes is between the backbone and the ribs. Like said here, in between the baina sulbi wa taraib, between the backbone and the ribs. Okay, during the process, during the process, within the 9 months, these testes, they are dragged down. Okay? And this happens. Sometimes it doesn't drag down. Sometimes it remains here. Sometimes it stops here. Sometimes it stops here. And it's a very common phenomena that in kids, we call it empty scrotal sac and we just drag it down and do this. But it doesn't affect the formation of sperm initially. It doesn't affect the formation of sperm initially. Sperms are formed. They are transferred through the seminal vesicles, and the ejaculate is formed, which consists of sperms, and it comes through the penis. So the origin of the ejaculate is between the place where the Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has said.
Can I reply?
Yeah.
Now, please notice, Doctor, I did not interrupt
Yeah,
you
I
at all.
will.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you all heard the doctor agree that Ayah 6, when it talks about the word emitted, is indeed talking about ejaculation. If that's what she admitted earlier in the conversation, it's on camera. You agree, I am sure, that we should not isolate one verse from another in the flowing of a passage. The verse 5, 6, and 7 read as follows. Now let man but think from what he is created. So all of you are to think about what are you created from. He is created from a drop emitted, which the good doctor has said is ejaculation. Verse 7, proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. There is no way, if you read the text of the Quran honestly, that you can conclude that ejaculation is coming from the backbone and the ribs. It is coming from the testes. Now the doctor is trying to say that it is about the testes descending as the child is developing in the womb, and it's dropping down to the ball sack. But the point is, the verse is not talking about embryology. The verse is not talking about embryology, and so discussion about embryology is ignoring the verse. The verse is talking about ejaculation. And so ejaculation, we know, comes from the testes in the ball sack, not from the backbone and the ribs. And it doesn't matter how much you talk about embryology, that's not what the Quran is saying. My question to the good doctor is this one question. In Ayah 6, when it says emitted, what is it talking about? That's my question to the doctor.
3 ayahs together. The insan, the human should see from which thing he is made. Then in the continuation, the two things are said. He is made of a gushing water, and which comes from in between the backbone and the ribs. So I have already shown all of you that it's the kidneys. Like the kidneys are in between the backbone. Where are the kidneys? Here. We have kidney here in between the backbone and the rib. So, but it says in the early human development, the testes, the male gonads, initially reside within the abdominal cavity, near the kidneys. Here, Baina sulbi wa tarai, what Quran says. Baina sulbi wa tarai, what Quran says. Near the kidneys. Okay, then undergo a descent, moving from the abdominal cavity through the inguinal canal, finally into the scrotum, the pouch of the skin that contains the testes. Okay, so that thing, it forms that ejaculate, which is called sperm, which then transfers to the penis through the seminal vesicles, and then it comes out. But the initial source is here, near the kidneys, in between the ribs and the backbone, which your science also says. Okay.
Right, lady, are you done? Okay, so if I was under this particular doctor and we were looking at embryology, I think I would ask for another doctor, because she is trying to tell us that your ejaculation is from your backbone and your ribs.
From from your testes.
And it is from your testes. But the place where your testes are is in your ball sack, not from your backbone and your ribs. The verse is talking, and notice, did you hear her answer my question? My question was, when in the verse 6 of the surah, it talks about emission, what is it talking about? I asked her that question. It's clear it's talking about ejaculation. She's trying to say it's embryology. So if she wants to talk about embryology, let's talk about the verses in the Quran that actually talk about embryology and see if the Quran.
If there is any doctor,
See,
he can tell you.
are you going to interrupt?
He can tell you.
Are you going to interrupt? You're a doctor. Are you a doctor?
I'm a doctor.
So are you a doctor in
I'm a doctor.
embryology?
But you are just trying to molest all the things. If there is any doctor here, he
You're
can
a doctor.
cross-check me. I'm a doctor, but anybody when
So I'm talking to you.
Yeah, you're just trying to hide everything.
What am I hiding? What does the word? What does the word emission mean?
The ejaculation.
What?
Ejaculation
No,
and the source.
doctor, answer this question.
Take the source of ejaculation. Quran has the source of ejaculation.
And it gets it wrong because ejaculation does not come from the testes.
Ejaculate is made in the testes, then it transfers through the seminal vesicles.
So it doesn't come from the backbone and the ribs, does it?
You just Google it here.
Google it?
Yeah, Google
it.
Because you don't Google it.
This is not how you do academic debate.
The Quran is
Madam,
telling you everything.
When it talks about emission, what is that talking about?
Emission
Is that talking? Is it talking about ejaculation?
Is made where?
Is it made? Is it talking
It's
about?
not made in the
Is it
penis.
talking
It's
about
made in the
ejaculation?
Ejaculation
Is it
and the source
talking?
of
Is it
ejaculation.
talking about ejaculation?
And the source of ejaculation
Is it
also.
talking about ejaculation?
Source of ejaculation
Answer the
also.
question.
Source of ejaculation.
Answer the question.
You recited two
When
ayah.
it uses the word emission, is that
Not emission,
talking
the gush.
about ejaculation?
And the source
The
of
gush,
ejaculation.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the source of ejaculation.
The gush. Is the gush ejaculation?
Source of ejaculation
Answer
also.
the question,
Source
doctor.
of, you answer my
Why?
question.
We'll
You
do
recited-
question for question.
You recited two
I
ayahs.
will answer your
You
question.
recited two ayahs. No,
You answer
didn't.
my
You
question.
didn't.
We'll do
You
question for question.
You put
I'll
two
let
ayahs.
you ask
Now
the
you are
first
just
question,
backing that. You are
and
just
then
backing out from that.
you're running away from it.
No, I'm not running away.
I'll let you ask
I
me a
showed you
question.
scientific knowledge
Like,
also.
no, you didn't show me
I
anything.
showed you.
No, you didn't show me anything.
I
No, you didn't. Did she show it to me or to you? She showed you.
Everybody-
She showed you. You didn't show me.
You can see.
You didn't show
You
it.
can see.
Show it to me. Show it to me.
You can see.
And while she's getting it up, I want to remind you what my question is. The ayah talks about the gush,
And the source of gush
the
also.
emission.
And the source of emission.
My question is not a difficult one for a learned doctor
You
of
recited
the
two ayahs.
Quran and of biology. What is the gush, the emission? Is it ejaculation, yes or no?
Ejaculation and you recited
Answer the question.
No, you recited the second ayah.
Answer the
I will say
question.
the source of all.
Answer the
Source of
question.
ejaculation
We're
is the
trying to
testis.
do this step by step.
You started between
We
the
are
ribs and
answer the
you started
question.
from the ribs.
You're running
You-
away from
no,
it.
I'm
Do you
not.
want to hear the answer to the question, ladies and gentlemen? Everybody would like you to hear the answer to the question.
Yeah. The
Is
source,
the emission or is it a reference to ejaculation?
yeah.
Thank you.
But
Right.
the source is testis.
Right.
It is said here.
So you're saying that every man, 1 second, you're saying that every man's ejaculation is coming from between the backbone and the ribs. That's what you're saying.
From the testis.
And where are the testes?
Testis initially are
At
here.
the point of
You see.
ejaculation.
You see.
Where are the testes at the point of ejaculation?
See.
Answer the question, doctor. Where are the testes at the point of ejaculation?
Even if the testes are undescended, the ejaculate can come to there.
Where are the testes located
You
at
see
the
here.
point of ejaculation?
You see.
All right.
You see.
Right. So she's using AI overview.
No, it's not there. It's just Google.
I would just ask her to Google this. Everybody Google this. Where is the source of ejaculation?
You just Google
Google that. Where is
the
the source of ejaculation? And we'll see what OpenAI says.
It's not there.
What is the source of ejaculation? Could someone pull that up on AI, please? What is the source, the origin of an ejaculation?
Ejaculation is the expulsion of semen from the male reproductive tract, which originates from the combination of sperm, the production of the testicles, and fluids from the seminal vesicles, which are in your groin.
Seminal vesicles are just taking it to there.
Prostate gland and ovarical glands. Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've established. Doctor, are you talking to me? She's running away. She's running away. Don't let her run away. Send her back to me, guys. She's running away. She's running away, guys. Send her back to me. Send her back to me. Send her back to me.
If it's proved now, then what's the problem?
Right, because you haven't proved it.
It's proved now.
What we proved?
That testes were here and now they come.
No, that was not the question. The question is, what's the origin of an ejaculation?
Origin from
and the ejaculation comes from the testes and the fluids from the vestibules.
Yeah.
Right. Those are not located between the backbone and the ribs.
Testes initially located between the
That
backbone
is
and
not
the
the source of an ejaculation.
This is the source of.
You have admitted that refers to an ejaculation, and the ejaculation is said to proceed from the backbone and the ribs. From the backbone and the ribs.
Yeah.
From the backbone and the ribs.
Ejaculate is made in the backbone and the ribs in the testes. Then it is transferred there. The ejaculation, the process comes from there.
I'm going to put the word ejaculation into the phrase.
Ejaculate and ejaculation
Now,
is different.
let man but think from what he is created. He is created from a drop ejaculated proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. Does that sound like scientific fact or scientific error?
From where the testes are made. From where the testes are coming down. Between the backbone and the
That's
ribs.
not what the Quran is talking
The
about.
Quran is talking about.
That's not what the Quran is talking
It's the
about.
origin of the ejaculate, not the ejaculation. Ejaculate is the process of
Let's
making
go
the
to
semen.
embryology. Let's go to embryology in the
is
Quran.
very vast. Your eyes.
Let's go to embryology in the Quran.
Embryology is very vast.
Because the Quran gets embryology wrong as well.
Every organ has different embryology. Every organ has different embryology.
Doctor, would you like to stop? Or shall we continue?
No, you are not. You are just hiding the facts.
What am I hiding?
You are hiding.
I quoted your Quran.
Yeah, I quoted.
You admitted that it was talking about ejaculation.
Ejaculate.
And verse 7 says that the ejaculation is emitting from the backbone and the ribs.
It's not talking about the ejaculation. Ejaculation is the act. Ejaculate is the that material. It's talking about the ejaculate, not ejaculation.
Yes, and it's saying that the ejaculated proceeds from the backbone and the ribs, but we all know that sperm is created in the testes.
Yeah.
So the Quran is wrong because sperm is not created between the backbone and the ribs.
Testes is created between the backbone and the ribs. Sperms are created.
Sorry?
Testes is created between the backbone and the rib near
Yes,
the kidneys.
but we don't ejaculate testes into women.
Where the sperms made.
There's no ejaculation of testes into women.
Testes are not in the females.
Right. So,
Testes are not in the
but
females.
every woman is created by that which is ejaculated, the sperm. It is the sperm that every human being, apart from Isa, was created by egg and sperm. Isa alone
Adam was not
being an
created.
exception.
Adam was not created from the sperm.
But he wasn't created by an egg either.
Yeah.
So that's a different exception.
You said except Isa. You said except Isa.
So, since we are talking about the that is responsible for your creation, that is ejaculated, we can't be talking about testicles because men don't ejaculate testicles. That would be very painful indeed.
Ejaculate
We're
is made
talking
on the testes.
about
Ejaculate is made
and
in
where the testes located at that point.
initially between the. I showed you.
No, where are the testes at the point of ejaculation? In the ball sack.
Even if undescended, it can be ejaculated. Even if you seen the patients with a testis not present in the sac?
Right.
But they can ejaculate. They can ejaculate.
I'm not saying they can't,
We're not talking about the exceptions to the rule.
Not exceptions,
We're talking about the normative rule.
Every male child has in the womb test is here, then it descends
We are
down.
talking about the production and ejaculation of sperm. That's what we're talking
Sperms
about.
are made in
We
the
are
testes.
not talking. Yes, and they are in the ball sack. Oh my gosh.
No, they are dragged there. They are dragged there during the procedure. They are dragged there. And sometimes they are not dragged there.
So since the Quran is claiming
that
sperm is produced, that sperm is produced between the backbone and the ribs. That's false. And here's why. Here's why. Because in embryology, when everything that the good doctor is talking about is happening, the testes are not producing any sperm. The sperm is only produced at puberty. So in other words, the Quran cannot be talking about embryology because it's talking about the drop that is ejaculated and from where it proceeds. And in embryology, those testes are not producing sperm. Ergo, the Quran is talking about pubescent sex, and the Quran is in error, and therefore the Quran is wrong. It is not from God.
It's Allah's style of talking. It's Allah's style of talking.
And he's wrong.
He just asked us to ponder upon the things.
And he's wrong.
No, it's not wrong. It's
wrong.
not wrong.
It's a flat out error.
It's not wrong. No,
It's a flat out error.
No,
Right. Since you want to talk about embryology, let's move on to embryology.
Every organ has embryology.
Let's talk about embryology.
Every organ has different thing in the embryology.
Great, we can talk about the ones that the Quran talks about. Right, so let's look at Surah 23, 12 to 14. What? So yeah, we're not going to talk bollocks anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on. Right. So in the Quran, in Surah 23, Ayah 12 to 13, it says this. Man we did create from a quintessence of clay. Then we placed in him as a drop of sperm in a place of rest, firmly fixed. Then we made the sperm into a clot of congealed blood. Then that clot we made a lump. Then we made out of the lump bones and clothed the bones in flesh. Let's just count up the mistakes in the Quran. And the reason why this is important is because Muslims believe that their Quran is free from any errors, any mistakes. So if there are errors and mistakes, then the good doctor has a good reason to leave Islam, because she won't find this kind of inconsistency in the Christian faith. Now, mistake number one is that it says that we are placed, that a drop of sperm is placed in us and we are created from sperm. There's no mention of the egg. There's no egg. It's the sperm is planted inside the woman, and then everything is enacted on the sperm. But we know in embryology, the sperm fuses with the egg, and a new being is born. Correction number two. It says that the embryo is firmly fixed. The embryo is not firmly fixed. Many embryos come away. Their placenta fails and they come away from the womb. Furthermore, he said we made the sperm congealed blood. That's a scab, ladies and gentlemen. At no point is a sperm ever turned into a scab. That's just flat out mistake in the Quran. Then it says that the scab is turned into a lump of flesh. Wow. I'm going to be generous, and I'm just going to give her that one. Right? But then it says that lump of flesh is turned into bones. And then that bone is clothed in flesh.
Yes. Now the problem with this is that when you study embryology, your bones and your flesh grow together at the same time. They don't grow in sequence. They grow at the same time. The embryology of the Quran is wrong. The Quran is full of errors, and that is a good reason for Muslims to leave Islam and to look again at the Christian faith. Over to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. I will just see now. One of our great scholars, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, at that time, he just gave ruling. He said, for a scholar, it's not permissible. It's not permissible to do a long talk with a person who doesn't know anything. Because you just tell me, have you ever read embryology?
What?
Have you ever read embryology? Are you an embryologist?
No, not an embryologist, but I have read about this particular matter.
Okay. Have you read the father of embryology? Have you read on these ayah? Because the father of embryology, the Keith Moore, he researched on these ayah, on these specific ayahs. He took each ayah and he just saw under the microscope. Have you read Keith Moore?
No, I've not read Keith Moore.
So you just go, read the work of the Keith Moore. Okay, Keith Moore is the father of radiology, whose books we read during our medical.
And are you aware that Keith Moore retracted that work? Are you aware? Keith Moore basically grifted off the Muslim community by telling them what they want. He made a fortune, and then privately in correspondence, he retracted what he said. He basically took the Muslim community for mugs, did a tour around the Islamic world, telling them what they wanted to hear, made himself a fortune, and then retracted the statement privately. No, but I've met someone who's corresponded with him privately. I have not read.
It was hundreds of years back. Who you met?
No.
Who you met?
I don't. Keith Moore. Go on. What did Keith Moore say? Quote him to me. Quote him to me.
It's a long book. It's a long research. You should go and just read it.
No.
Okay. So, but he just recited the ayahs. It's the.
Maybe I'm getting the mix up with some other guy, embryologist.
Yeah, because it was hundreds of years back. The Keith Moore. And one thing I just want to tell all of you that many people, it's not that we research. The many things which Christians invent, like the Jews invent, anybody invents. We just go, we just research there. Okay. So the people in the West, they have researched a lot on each and every ayah of the Quran. It's not like that they were going to become the Muslim. They're just researching like anything. They were just researching. Okay. So now what he read. And this is for sure that we have made human from the extract of the.
She lied. Keith Moore is not hundreds of years ago. She lied. Keith Moore is not hundreds of years ago. He's the man that I talked about, and he retracted this work. You said he lived hundreds of years ago. He was around in the Keith Moore, the man embryologist, was born in 1925. You said he was hundreds of years ago.
Around 100 years. It's 2025.
Hundreds of years ago. Hundreds of years ago. Passed away November 2019. Not hundreds of years ago. You lied.
He passed away. No, but
So Keith Moore is the man that I'm talking about. It's well-known fact. Keith Moore drifted off the Muslim community. He took you all for mugs. He went on a tour around the Middle East, telling you what you wanted to hear. He made a fortune, and then in private correspondence with someone that I met personally, who told me about it, who wrote to Keith Moore, he retracted what he said, and he retracted what he said.
You just produce that then. We have the books. We have the books. Okay.
Yes,
So
the
we have-
books
we
that
have-
he
we
did
have-
to make money out of a gullible audience.
You cannot say anything for a person which is not in the word at least. Okay. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. And for sure, we have made human from the extract of the mud. Okay, so we are made. Our sperms are made. Our eggs are made from what we eat.
Madam,
Okay?
are you talking to me or are you talking to these guys?
Everybody.
And yeah, maybe talk to everybody.
Everybody. So the sperms and the eggs they are made. They are made from the what we eat. Okay, what we eat from that. Every part of our body is made what we eat. Okay, we are what we eat. So this is sex. Then you know, this is if you have read the grammar, if you know the Arabic grammar, this is the like every grammar has its own rules. Like English grammar has its own rule, Arabic grammar has its own rule, maybe Latin grammar has its own rule. So this is the rule of the Arabic. When you talk about the male, the female is taken automatically. When you talk about singular, like the male, what would you call it?
Animals, plurals, humans, use the feminine.
Yeah, then the female is automatically, it is said that it is like it's there, okay? And if it is said, like if they say that man and the female together, then the both are said that if they say male, then the female is automatically.
This is called ad hoc reasoning. It's
No,
called ad hoc
you
reasoning.
should go and read the grammar.
It's called ad hoc reasoning. The Quran doesn't say what she wants it to say.
No.
So, by the invention of a grammatical rule, she makes
Grammar
it
is
that she
always
wants to say.
there. You just.
Embryology is not decided by Arabic grammar.
The Quran is in Arabic. Quran is in Arabic.
Remember you quoted
You are
AI.
quoting.
Do you remember when she quoted AI as an authority in our debate earlier?
I was not quoting.
She did. She quoted the AI. She quoted and she showed it to me, so I saw it with my own eyes, and you saw it as well. Let me quote her authority that she used earlier in the debate. In embryonic development, bone and flesh, which is muscle tissue, generally develop together, but through distinct processes. In other words, it is not bones then flesh, as the Quran says, but bones and flesh at every stage. The Quran is wrong.
The Quran is not wrong.
Yes, it is.
Quran, like in the Bible, you have added a long discussion. This is not the style of Allah. This is not the style of Allah that you just. This is the Prophet. Prophet is for that. We are told something in the Quran, and the description is given by the Prophet. Description is given by the Prophet. If Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, He gives such a long, this high path will fill in the Quran. If everything should be there, the high path. Allah sends the book. Allah sends the Prophet with that. Allah sends the revelation.
And he got it wrong.
No, I'm just talking. Don't interrupt me. Allah sends the revelation. Allah sends the Prophet to explain that revelation. That's why the Prophet's life is also safe, because that's the explanation of the revelation. So what Allah said. Okay. What does Allah said? Allah just tells us the basic. The Prophet explains everything because he is also told.
So where did the Prophet explain that bones and flesh were together?
Everything.
Where does the Prophet explain that bones and flesh grow together? Yeah, because I haven't got time for a giant Islamic lecture. Come to your point.
You don't know the Arabic grammar. You don't know the
That's irrelevant.
You are just.
You don't know embryology.
I don't know embryology.
Are you saying that bones? Are you saying that bones come before flesh?
I'm just.
Are you saying that bones come before flesh? Are you saying bones come before flesh? Okay, guys. She's speaking to you. She stopped having a conversation with me. So I'm just going to have a conversation with all of you now. And then I'm going to go, and you guys can decide whether you want to listen.
You are not.
Madam, you stopped talking to me 5 minutes ago.
You said, now just let me talk.
No.
Let me talk.
Because you're not talking to me. You're not talking. You're not even talking to them.
You're not talking to me.
I was talking to her. Yes. And you're not. You're just talking to these two. So what I'm going to say, guys, is this.
You were talking and walking with everybody.
We have shown in the Quran that there are scientific errors, demonstrable errors, clear errors. The Quran claims to be free from error.
And so because it claims to be free from error, if we find errors within it, then that means it is not from God.
It is from God,
And that means that the good doctor has good reason to look again at the Christian faith and to examine the Christian faith. Something she says no to. In other words, she's saying I'm closed-minded, but she's just demonstrated closed-mindedness.
No, I'm just trying to. And you just.
Then come to the point.
Let me complete.
Come to the point.
Let me complete.
Come
Should
to
I
the
complete?
point. Yeah, but can we do time? Can we do time? Can we do time?
Before you were not talking about time because I also didn't have time. But you were just talking about running away. Now you want to run away. That's why you just kept talking about time.
I'm going to stay and we're going to do this.
Okay, let me explain.
I'll try talking to everybody. Look at all these people behind you.
You just come around me. Okay. So Allah said, and for sure.
Do you guys want to stand over there so she faces everybody?
We have made humans.
Right, there we go. Now we can face the crowd together.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ, and for sure we have made human from the extract of the mud. Okay? And now this is also the expression. What is the extract of the mud? Whatever we eat, it's the extract of the mud. Even if we eat animals, what is the diet of the animals? It comes from the mud. Okay?
Not mud. Mud is not consumed except by certain creatures. Not all creatures consume mud.
Then we put that thing, that mutfa in qararim makin. Qararim makin means that something in which it resides. That's the womb where it resides. Okay?
Not the egg. The sperm goes in the womb, the egg is not mentioned. Error number 2.
According to grammar, when Nutfa said it means the whole thing. Okay?
No, that's an assertion. You're asserting into the text what is not there. It says sperm into the womb, as you just admitted, not sperm into the egg.
And the alaqa is that the clot. Alaqa is that clot.
Are you saying that babies are clots?
Initially, if you
No,
say it
that's
will
a
be
lie.
the form of a clot.
No, it isn't.
That's why when the miscarriage is in the early days, it's just the clot. You cannot see the baby when the miscarriage is in the early days.
That's because blood is being evacuated with the egg. That's not the egg. The blood is not the egg.
Then we made that clot like a morsel, mudra. Like you see the morsel of the food, like morsel of the food, like a bite, fruits bite. Like you see.
Or embryos ever clots of blood. Or embryos ever
the
clots.
initial stage.
Overview. So the question, are embryos, are embryos ever clots of blood? Answer, no! Embryos are not clots of blood!
It's not clot of blood, it's like a clot of blood.
Thank you, it's not a clot of blood! The Quran gets it wrong again! Carry on!
It's like a clot of blood. I didn't
Doesn't say like. It says we turn the sperm into a clot of blood.
It didn't.
I'll read it again. Yes, it does. You just lied to everybody.
Then we made that clot like thing into mudra. Like
we made the sperm into a clot of congealed blood. Where was the word like?
Quran is not said in
Where was the word like? Doesn't say that. Show me in Arabic where the word like is. Where is the word like in Arabic?
I'm not here to teach you grammar. I'm not here
You're lying. You're making up grammatical rules.
I'm not.
Whenever the Quran gets it wrong, we just insert the word like. Because that's a grammatical rule of Arabic. That's rubbish. Because that would mean, if it was a rule of grammar, that when anyone gets anything wrong, you would just insert the word like.
Then we made that clot like bite. Then we made that bite like thing into izama. Izama is what? That thing.
A lump.
The flesh, like you can say the flesh like thing. Okay? Then فكسونا العظام لحما. Idam is like bony thing. Idam is like bony thing.
No, it's bones. It's bones.
Yeah, bones.
Not a bony thing.
Bone and
bones.
Yeah, bones.
She misled you again. The Arabic does not say bony thing, it says bones.
Okay, bone. Okay, you say
Bones, bones.
Yeah, from there,
Bones.
the bones are formed. The bones are formed, okay? فَكَسَّوْنَا الْعِظَامَ لَحْمًا فَكَسَّوْنَا. Then, فَكَسَّوْنَا means like, we are like this and we just wear some robe. Like the bones are made and then the flesh
Covers them.
covers that.
So
flesh covers
that's
that.
sequential, isn't it? She just admitted it's sequential. But the fact of the matter is, now she's admitted that the Quran does say it's sequential.
Let me complete.
Go and look at when bones and flesh develop. They have developed together from the mesoderm.
It's not.
Yes, you can. You can Google it right now.
No,
Where the bones and flesh develop, they develop together from the mesoderm, and she just admitted the Quran says sequentially. You get the bones, and then you clothe them in flesh. In other words, the Quran is wrong again.
No, only the epiphyseal centers develop with the flesh, not the full bones. Bones develop later, and then they are covered with the flesh.
So the Quran is wrong because she's just admitted that the bones develop later. But the Quran said the bones came first. She's just admitted they come later. So the Quran is wrong.
Bones and the bony fragments are different.
Yes, it's called calcification. Children are not born with fully developed bones. It happens outside of the womb. The Quran is completely wrong from beginning to end.
Quran is saying, then we complete that further. Even outside, even not inside. Quran says, then we complete that. It's not said that inside all the thing is completed. Our brain develops outside.
It does not say that in this text. Look, where is the outside bit?
I didn't say the outside. I'm explaining.
Did she not try to say further outside? Doesn't mention that. Says a fetus, a lump, and when we made out of the lump bones and clothed the bones with flesh. That is an error. Bones and flesh both grow from the mesoderm. They grow together. They grow together.
No.
And calcification completes outside of the womb. This does not say a bony thing. This says bones. And if bones develop outside of the womb, the Quran is wrong. Because it's talking about what is happening inside of the womb. So every part of this verse is wrong. And this is a doctor speaking.
Everything is made inside, it just grows outside completely. Allah said, then we complete it thoroughly. We complete it thoroughly.
Where does it say that here? Where does it say that? Then we made the bone.
No, this one.
What? Where is it in English?
Then we develop out of it. And
it says, yes, exactly. So she lied to you.
No,
she did. Listen carefully. Then we developed out of it another creature. Another creature.
Yes, the human. Like from
another creature. So are you saying that baby isn't a creature in the womb? Is it the continuation of the same creature or a different creature?
Listen, all these stages, if you say at one stage, like if you say that when the early stage, the miscarriage comes, it comes like a clot form. Okay, will you say that it's a baby? No, you will not say. If it comes in the...
Yes, we would. Yes, we would.
Nobody says.
Yes, we would. It's a human being. Yes, we would. Yes, we would. Yes, I'm saying it. Yes, Islam gets this wrong as well. Islam gets this wrong. Islam gets this wrong.
No doctor says.
These are babies from conception. They are human beings.
He said the 4 weeks. He said the 4 weeks. The comes. Nobody says baby coming out.
Yes, women do say, I lost my baby. When a woman has a miscarriage, do they say, oh, I lost my egg? Or do they say, no, I lost my baby? What does a woman say when she has a miscarriage? I lost my baby. What would you say? What would you say? There you go. So you've just been proven wrong. Woman. Madam, what would you say if you hadn't? I lost my baby. What would you say? I lost my baby. How many women? Are they wrong? Are they wrong? Are they wrong? Are they wrong?
Listen to me. Even if you don't have baby, what will you say? I want a baby. I want a baby. I don't have a baby. Even if you don't have a baby, I want to conceive a baby. Even if the baby is not there, you don't
Yes, I say you want to conceive a baby. In a miscarriage, a woman has lost her baby.
Oh,
I've never once heard a woman